Gematria is a system where every Hebrew letter has a number. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so on. Just like we add the letters together to create a word, we can add the numerical value and come up with a sum total, with a number that represents the word. As we move on in this study, it's important to remember it's not just what it says, it's what it adds up to. Gematria is more than just math. It's a way to look at hidden connections between words. It's like a code or a deeper layer of meaning. If two different words add up to the same number, people might explore if there's a spiritual link between them. It's not always the case, but it can be there. Gematria shows how God hides deeper truths in the text. For example, the Hebrew word for love is ahava. This word is made up of the Aleph, the He, the Beit, and the He. When we add these letters up, we come up with a total of 13. This shows that the number 13 and the word ahava, which is love, have a connection. From there, we can find other words that have the same numerical value and see if we can build a bridge to connect those two words. A word that does have the numerical value of 13 is the word one, like we learned in our first lesson, echad. It's the Aleph, the Het, and the Dalet, which adds up to the numerical value of 13. This links love with oneness, ahava with echad. Here we can see how love brings unity. In Hebrew thought, love equals oneness. To take it a step further, you could do what is called digit summing or reduction to a root number. This is where you take the full numerical value of a word, in this case 13, and you reduce it to a single digit by summing the digits. You can do this repeatedly for larger numbers. In our example, 13 would be 1 plus 3, which equals 4, and the value is reduced to 4. This is where we can dive into exploring what 4 represents. If you recall, the fourth letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet is the Dalet. The Dalet is a Hebrew word for door, and Jesus is the one who said he is a door. And here we can see how God so loved the world that he gave his only son, who is a door. And if you digit sum the total of the word ehad, we would also have 4. And now we have all of these symbols that link together and bring us into a deeper understanding of how love has a door that leads to intimacy and union. This right here is worth meditating on, because so many times we can feel separated from the love of God, but right here we can remind ourselves that love has a door, that God so loved me, he gave me a door back into being in union with him. Studying scripture like this helps you have an anchor onto the basics of what it means to be a believer in God. And we easily forget. These are the kind of things that will remind us who it is God is and who it is that we are. So I'd encourage you to spend time in reflection and meditate on the reality that God so loved the world that he gave a door, and that love has a door that leads to union. The Hebrew word for die is mut. It is spelled mem, vav, and tav. This word equals the gematria of 446. If we reduce this number, we get 4 plus 4 plus 6, which equals 14. This word can be reduced to the most simple form, 5. The gematria of the word die is 446, reduced to 5. If we look at the reduced number of 5, 5 represents grace, life, and the breath of life itself, the Spirit of God. The number 5 points us to the 5th letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, which is the He. The ancient pictograph of the He is a man with his hands raised as if looking at a great sight. This just shows me how kind God is to leave these little treasures for us. When we might be full of fear when we hear the word die, when we can look at the gematria of this number, it actually gives us another perspective of what it means to die. The number 5 reminds us that when we die, we are going to have our hands raised and be looking at such a great sight. The spelling of the word He is the He and the Aleph, and it is the man with his hands raised looking upon a great sight, which is the Aleph, the strong ox, the master, the source, the beginning himself. I like to look at the order of the letter arrangement. The last letter of the word die in Hebrew would be the tav. If we spell the word tav, we get tav vav, and tav vav has the gematria of 406. Other words that have the gematria of 406, elasa means God made or has made. God is maker. And my favorite is eshka, which is the first person singular future tense verb, meaning I will kiss. With gematria, we can start to expand our understanding of basic English words. Within the word die, we see our creator, the God who made us, who comes to us and kisses us. We can take 406 and reduce it by adding the sum of the numbers. 4 plus 0 plus 6 equals 10. 10 will point us to the 10th letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, which is the Yud. It's the smallest letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and Jewish mystics look at the Yud as being the little that contains a lot, the spark of life. This little letter holding the full potential of life itself. The Yud holds a numerical value of 10. The 10 is known to hold the symbolism of testing, inheritance, commandments, plagues, miracles. A tenth is part of the whole, and 10 represents full manifestation. 10 is a divine number. We can take the 10 and add this sum and get 1 plus 0, which is going to bring us back to the 1. The 1 represents Aleph, who is the source, the beginning. It's the very first letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and is a picture of the strong ox and ultimately God. And this to me is just incredible, how when we think we are coming to the end, it actually brings us back to the source, the beginning, the Aleph, which is a picture of God himself.